So okay guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to easily use and set up a SDR dongle on Linux. But before we get started, for those of you that don't know what an SDR dongle is, I'll break down the acronym. It's essentially a software-defined radio dongle. You plug this thing in your computer and you can pretty much view AM, FM, pretty much all around radio frequencies right on your device itself. Now if you're wondering what purpose this serves, be sure to check out my old video where I talk about these SDR dongles under Windows, because I cover pretty much everything they can do there. However, for the sake of today's video, I'm just going to be covering how to install it and set it up under Arch Linux. Well, just Linux in general. So with that said, is it any more difficult than it is on Windows? Will we need to automatically mess with drivers or anything of the such? Indeed we do not. Under Linux, it's pretty much plug and play. But with that said, we still need a software that will interface with the actual hardware, so what do we got? Well, I'm going to be using GQRX. It's pretty much a fancy, feature-filled SDR sharp, but built for Linux. I like this program overall because I can theme it. It has a lot less crashing than SDR sharp under Linux. However, if you like SDR sharp, which I can understand I like it under Windows, you can actually install SDR sharp via the AUR if you desire. However, for the sake of today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to install GQRX because you can install this under pacman or apt, depending on your distro. Now with that said, on screen the commands will be pasted. If you have a Arch-based distribution like I got, you will be using pacman to install this package. If you got a different distribution, you will most likely be using apt-get install, then GQRX to install this application. But with that said, I'm going to minimize my web browser and open up a terminal and type this command all in. As you can see, all I got to type in is pretty much sudo pacman-s GQRX and hit enter. I gotta give it my password and the program should be pretty much good to go. All I gotta do is click yes and hit enter and it will begin installing. Now if you're wondering, it will take a fair bit of time to install. The only reason why it installed quicker on my system at the moment is because I've had it installed already, just to speed this process up. But there is one thing to note: if you run into any problems later when trying to run GQRX, try installing the RTL SDR package. This package replaces the default DVB stick driver with the SDR dongle driver, just like we had to do on Windows, but unlike on Windows, it's pretty much seamless. I didn't have to go dig around in any files, find any sketchy files online. It was pretty much just plug and go. But like I said, if you run into any issues, try installing this package just in case it failed. And just like the warning here states, you can't use the stick anymore as a DVB stick. You can only use it as a DVB stick or as an SDR stick since there's a driver conflict. But this is not a bad thing, don't worry. DVB is primarily not used anymore, so it's better just to install the SDR driver, so to say. But with that said, now that the program is installed, what do we need to do? Well, we can easily launch it just by typing in GQRX in the terminal and hitting enter. However, if you don't want to do that, under your distribution, it should be most likely labeled under multimedia. So all you should have to do is just look under there and click on GQRX and the thing should open up. But before you do, sorry, I'm jumping to conclusions here. Before you do, plug in your SDR dongle, because the likelihood if you plug that in first and open the program will mean that the program will find the stick and automatically set things up for us. Now that my stick is plugged in, I'm just going to open the program, and we should be pretty much good to go. However, what should have happened isn't what happened. You will get a window similar to this. Let's just pretend this opened up first. You will get an error, just hit OK, and then this will pop up. And from here, you want to hit on device scan. If you're lucky, your device will automatically be selected. If you're unlucky, just select on the Realtek RT2083 HDR. This is most likely the device that you want. Just click on that. And all you have to do now is just change your audio output to the correct output that your system has. In my particular case, if I go down here to my audio options, built-in audio analog stereo is what I'm currently needing to output to, so I just got to change the device over to built-in analog audio, click it, and hit OK, and I'm pretty much good to go. After you do that, the program should open up and look something like this. To quickly test it out, all you got to do is click on the play button, and it should just work. If you're hearing static, that means you indeed got sound, and it indeed means that your RTL SDR dongle is working correctly. Now there are some things that we need to learn when it comes to this program in order to make our life a little bit easier. By default, the waterfall isn't the best thing to look at in my personal opinion, so what I like to do is go over to the FFT settings tab here, and I like to scroll down and change it from the color map GQRX to black hot. I just like the way black hot looks, it's a lot easier on my eyes and matches my system theme overall. And speaking of system theme, you can even change the graph up here if you wish the program to pretty much match your setup a lot better. I just changed mine to pink just by clicking the 3 dots and clicking on pink, then OK. Other than that, another thing that we need to know is how to control the SDR dongle, since the SDR dongle has some various features that we might wish to mess around with. So to mess around with the dongle itself, all we gotta do is go over to the input controls, and we can play around in here. One setting I sometimes like to turn on, depending on what I'm doing, is hardware AGC. Think of this as automatic gain. If you have a weak signal, this will automatically attempt to boost the signal for you without having to automatically go down here and change it yourself. By default, the gain will be 24.8. However, you can change that just as easily by moving this slider. So I'm going to play the waterfall here. Hopefully I'm not on a copyright FM radio station. And I'm going to raise the bar up if I want to boost my signal. If I want to lower it a little bit because it's coming in too hot, I can lower it like so. I like the default range just for testing, so I'm going to put it back to 24.4, I guess. And I'm going to stop my RTL SDR dongle so that I don't go deaf during this recording. I also don't really know if this is interfering with my recording, so if you're picking up the noise, sorry, I'm going to probably cut the audio out anyway during editing. But with that said, some other settings we need to know, and these settings are very familiar to those of you that probably use SDR Sharp before, are the receiver options. And here, we want to be able to change our mode. Right now, it's automatically set to AM. You want to set it for like WFM if you want to track radio frequencies, for instance. If you want to use AM frequencies, look for ham radios, keep it on AM. Pretty much the world is your oyster, set the settings as you desire. I'm going to set mine to wide FM stereo because I'm going to just go onto a radio station really quick and play a couple of seconds just to demonstrate that my software defined radio is indeed working. Other than that, some other things we might want to mess with is the noise blanker. If you're getting too much static in your radio station and the audio's not coming in too clear, messing with this can help a lot. You can easily set your own parameters just by clicking the 3 dots. Other than that, if your signal's pretty wide, you want to set it for wide. If it's normal, vice versa. Or you can user select. User selecting is just as simple as clicking on the window here and picking it yourself. Another thing that's as simple as clicking on the window itself is just grabbing the red line here, and you should be able to tune your frequency. As you just saw, the numbers up there are moving to the frequency that my mouse cursor is moving it to. But since the frequency is too high at the moment, I'm going to lower this down to an FM radio station frequency, and we're going to play it and see what we get. Alright, we got a simple talk show here, which shouldn't get me copyright claimed for too long unless I don't talk over it. This is transformative, YouTube, don't get on my bad side, okay? Anyway, as you can see, it is indeed working. Our waterfalls are showing the colors that I want. Our frequency is there. I'm able to navigate around just by using the numbers. And I am able to control the gain and all the other features that the SDR dongle has to offer. However, there is one other thing I like to do, and I like to navigate this audio spectrum here, so I'm going to hit play real quick. I like to have it centered. No real reason to do that, but it just looks a lot nicer. I also like to make the window bigger sometimes. And sometimes I like to mess around with these other settings down here. You can easily mute the audio output with this one button. Let's say the station gets really loud and you just don't want to listen to it. You can mute the station and just hit record to record the audio without the actual sound on. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. We got our SDR dongle working, and pretty much every other setting within this program is very similar to SDR Sharp. So if you get the hang of this, or you have problems getting the hang of it I should say, check out my SDR video where I covered SDR Sharp on Windows. And if you learn that program, you should be able to learn this one fairly easily. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it for today's video, and I'm gonna leave this off here. DTPK signing off. Peace. As you can see, that indeed did not take long, and if you saw here, our current directory has changed. But yes, this battery desync fix will apply to both the stock and emulated name.